New weapons.
Yeah, guns, guns, guns.
Where would we be without new weapons?
I like the one shot. It's like our elephant cannon. It's I always jokingly call it the boomer buster because it has this one giant shell and you can pierce the shield of the shield boomer and jib him in one shot. And incredibly powerful. Long reload on it though, and it's also heavy, so you got to make sure the juice is worth the squeeze on that one.
But I mean, come on, killing a mauler with a single shot, that's a lot of juice.
Totally. Look at all that juice. Oh, it will not die. And so, yeah, and then we have the incendiary grenade. Rod, you want to?
Well, I mean, it's just rounding out our sort of cavalcade of grenades.
Well, what's great is the fact that it pops upon tossing, right? Like
instantaneously, yeah.
I just realized what that's.
Yeah, we'll just keep talking.
Right,
let's move on.
But yeah, you throw it out, and like usually with grenades, they land and like have a little bit of a beep, and there's a delay. But the second this thing lands, and you can kind of throw it a little bit in like a ceiling arc, and it'll kind of like the fire will kind of fall down, and you can kind of use this area of denial to kind of prevent people from running through the fire. It's one of my favorite grenades now.
Yeah, I mean mine too. But one of the weapons I'm most excited about, I'd have to say, is probably the digger launcher. I think the idea of a gun that can shoot a projectile underground and basically go beneath cover to take out enemies is just awesome.
The beauty is that when it pops up, it does that bouncing Betty type of like cylindrical explosion, and
right.
like guys' heads pop and they just drop right there. It's that weapon. It took a lot of iteration actually, if you remember. Like we were like, I don't know, and that's one thing about game development is you cycle and you iterate until you find something that's fun, and then you hang on to it. And that weapon ultimately turned out great.
Yeah, it was absolutely. And I think what's really cool, a couple of things that are sort of, you take what we had and we pull it back in and rework it and push it back out again, is like, you look at our rifles now, right? You know, the starting rifles, we introduced a new one, the Pendulum Arrow Lancer, people have seen in the trailer and stuff like that. And just giving each gun a role, where the Pendulum Arrow Lancer is very much like the assault rifle version of a shotgun, short range, highly inaccurate, but very powerful, so if somebody's up close, you can really tear them apart. The Lancer is, you know, the trusted medium range.
Doesn't kick too much.
Doesn't kick too much. It's kind of a reliable weapon. And then the Hammerburst, we've really turned into this sort of highly skilled weapon where it's more of a long range. Not quite a sniper, but definitely it's much further, more accurate at a longer range than, say, the Lancer.
Yeah, we're also scaling the crosshairs now when you actually pull in targets. So depending on what your accuracy is, the crosshair will scale to represent like what the weapon accuracy is. And it's so much nicer to kind of tell like what your spread is from that. And playing with the Pendulum Arrow Lancer, the thing kicks like a mule, and now that I know like what's going on, I can really kind of just fire in short bursts and be very, very accurate and useful with it.
Yeah, it's interesting to see people who get that intuitively. You know, it was like when we were first trying to explain the idea of that growing in accuracy, people didn't really understand it, and they would just say the gun was unreliable or it wasn't worth using. But then as soon as we put the moving reticle in, people immediately started burst firing just because they got it visually.
Like watching Mike Capps play earlier, it's like, oh, okay, he's shooting in small bursts. It's cool.
Right, exactly.
Do you want to go on about the other ones?
Well, I thought we should maybe just talk about. Well, do you want to talk about the double barrel before we move on to execution?
Oh yeah. So one of our kind of like high level things. We're not really saying this a lot in a lot of the interviews, but we've learned over the years is, you know, in certain instances, man, just give the people what they want, right?
And apparently people want shotguns.
Well, I mean, that happened with Title Update 6, you know, as far as updating the game to reflect some of the desires of what the community wanted, but also with people love shotguns, clearly, so what's cooler than a shotgun? Give them a sawed-off double-barrel shotgun, which was probably sawed off with a Lancer chainsaw blade, right?
You thought you had fun jibbing one person at a time, now you can jib two.
Yeah, it's like you have this like arc of death in front of you, so if there's multiple people, it's just boom, gone.
Right.
But again, the reload is long on that one.
But and so in carrying on the theme of the idea of having stuff that we had but making it better is that I think what we're doing with executions, that you know, executions are not just a given anymore, that, you know, everybody wants the sense of progression and growth of their characters and having some persistence and having things to work towards and earn, and we saw executions as one of those things that we could do that with in our world.
Yeah, well, gamers always kind of go for the, not always, but usually go for the path of least resistance. You're playing online, like I'm going to roll at you and jib you just because I don't want to deal with you going down but not out, or if we can find ways in the game of positively incentivizing players to use executions, I think we're going to, and we'll be revealing more about that in the coming months, but keep your eye on that one.
Yeah, but just know that now, you know, every weapon has its own unique execution, so it's not just like 2/3 of the weapons like we had in Gears 2. It's actually every weapon has its own unique, and those are something that you'll be unlocking as you play.
While we're on the subject of unlocking, it's important to note that we at Epic Games certainly appreciate the whole concept of it, but we think that in some ways it's gotten entirely out of hand in this industry, and we will have some in the game, and it'll be very cool, but we assure you that out of the box there'll be certainly a rich enough feature set so that you don't feel cheated, because it's getting insane lately.
So you don't want to unlock, like, on the multiplayer menu, your UI will begin to you have to unlock your
Oh,
UI.
it was like those fighting games that when like Soul Calibur and everything were starting to really become big, and like you pay $60 for the game and you get like one dude. And you're like, oh great.
Yeah, exactly. So, Cliff, one of the big features that's in Gears 3 is the Silverback.
Yep, aptly named after a gorilla.
Yeah. Oh, I thought that was me. I thought it was just because of the gray hair. Anyway, so
your back there was red.
The carpet doesn't match the drapes. Anyway, so let's talk about the Silverback. That's something even before I came to Epic, you guys were interested in.
Yeah,
having in the game.
one of the high-level original pitches for what Gears originally was going to be kind of these large monsters versus these kind of mechanized forces. And what makes humanity cool and interesting is that they use technology, and what makes the Locust interesting is that they use creatures. And now we finally are able to have this in the game. We were hoping for the first game and even the second, but we just never got around to it. There's still so many things we had to put in, and now to see this hulking mechanized suit walking around the battlefield and then deploying so your buddies can take cover on it. You can actually deploy it and then get out and use it as cover. So if you have a sniper rifle in your inventory, you can kind of hop out, pop some headshots, pop back in, and then use the Gatling gun on it to smash some foes. And it has a ground pound with its feet, which is a nice radial attack as well. And you can curb stomp people with it.
You can actually even just kick people in the chest.
Yeah,
you can just wail on people.
Yeah, well, the whole thing where you kick the car and the car goes flying is great too. It's just that you kick a van across a level. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's one thing to be in a mech that has rockets and a Gatling gun, but then to also be able to kick the crap out of stuff is pretty awesome.
Totally.
Well, all right, that's it from us. That was a preview of Gears of War 3. I hope you enjoyed it, and hope you're looking forward to Gears of War 3 coming out April 5th, 2011 in North America, April 8th, rest of the world.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.